Noel Nation, welcome into another FSU Voice of College Football post-game show. My name is George. Happy to be here with you. We're also simulcasting at the Renegade Report, whichever one you're on. Please hit the like and subscribe. Oh, tough. A little out of breath. I sat down here, was about to go live, and I was like, oh, God, I got to go get a dip. One of my vices, so I had to do it. I was going to give haywire. I was like, I'll just go live. Nope. I got to do it. I have to have my Coca-Cola down here. My two biggest vices in the world, Coca-Cola and dip. The last thing I heard from the broadcast, the last thing was the announcers talking about how Notre Dame spent the bye week preparing for Navy. You know, in what world, especially to begin this season coming off 13-0, 13-1, whatever you want to say, Florida State top 10 preseason ranking, biggest, strongest, fastest team Mike Norvell's ever seen. Would you imagine Notre Dame has a bye week to prepare for Florida State, and they're spending it on Navy? I would have told you were absolutely nuts in the offseason, but hey, that's where we are at 1-9 now. Another thing I heard there at the end of the broadcast, I believe FSU has now broken the modern day record, or since 2000, most losses ever in an entire season by a top 10 pre-ranked team, and there's still 3 games left. Tough to watch, guys. There's been skepticism amongst some of the people in the credentialed media that usually won't say stuff like this, talking about, like, you know, calling for jobs to be done, whether it's tonight or tomorrow or the next day. Like now, not before the end of the season. Talked about it a ton. It'd have to be something just insane for me to see Norvell do that. But personally, at this point, I feel like we're to that point. Like, you don't have to get rid of everybody you're going to get rid of, but make an example out of 1 or 2 or whatever the case may be. I don't know. I don't see what it could hurt. What could it possibly hurt? There's a million things you could take away from the game. I think everybody knows my opinion on what the identity of this team should be. It's pretty crazy to me that here we are 10 weeks into this season, 11 weeks, I guess, if you count the bye weeks, and this coaching staff still has no idea who their team is. No idea. They don't know it. To me, it's obvious. But look, hey, guys, I'm not a professional college football coach. I'm just a guy that watches and breaks down all the film, listens to professional guys talk about it, talks to those different coaches and things of that nature. From my point of view, all year long, I've been screaming, hand it to Philly, hand it to Philly. There was questions about health, but he was still getting 50 snaps a game, but he wouldn't get 10 carries. I think he got 6 or 8 carries all of last week. The only positive things, the only good things this offense has done the entire year has been off them handing it to Toafili on early downs. And for whatever, as a running back, not as a tailback. And for whatever reason, they have been starting him the last 3 games at the starting running back and going with that and sticking with him for about the first half of the drive. Or you took till you get down to the 30-yard line or in the red zone. And then, that's when we're going to give Sam Singleton his first carry. He almost fumbles it. We had a similar situation where he did fumble it, or a different back fumbled it earlier in the year. They refused to stick with the running game. You know, it's 7-3. You got this great running game going. Everybody, 80 yards in your first 2 drives. Toafili's doing what he's done all year, and that's average close to 5 yards per carry. And then it's, they ran it, I think, on the first down on the next drive, the third drive. He gets like 6 yards or something, and then that's it. After they got that first down, it was 3 plays to the quarterback, back to back to back to back. And then you can't even run it on third down. And it was another 2 or 3 drives where they went out there, first down, quarterback run, second down pass, third down pass. The next drive, first down pass, second down pass, third down pass. He doesn't touch it. You had a 16-play drive to start the game that you didn't convert for whatever reason. On back to the first drive, you get down in the red zone. It's first and goal from like the 10-yard line. You hand it to Toafili, he gets you 4 or 5 yards, 3 more plays to score a touchdown, you don't give him the ball back. And look, guys, I understand what Norvell's offense is. We've all watched it for 5 years. They are more wanting to throw the ball. They got to be able to throw the ball. They want to throw to set up the pass. And it's like they're being forced to run it early, but as soon as they get down 1 touchdown, they just completely abandon it. And it's the damnedest thing. It's really tough. It's really tough to watch. The offensive line, and this is the thing, people on Twitter saying, "Oh, bro, the offensive line's blocking and they're doing great early in the game." No, they weren't blocking differently. They were just running the ball. It's a lot easier for them to run the ball and get some positive things. Even if you have a bad run, it's a 2 or 3 yard game. Toafili has a data set across this year, 100 carries, whatever he has. He runs it for 4 yards a damn carry every time. And for whatever reason, they will not hand it to him on early downs. And then he doesn't get it for 2 quarters on early downs. And then when they try to hand it to him on a second and two, you get a false start. And then do they change to something else? Do they change to a toss or to a pass off of that? No, they run the same exact running play and it's blown up. But yeah, all the drop back passing with the 2 freshman quarterbacks, it's impossible to evaluate Luke or Brock, really. I think you can pretty much tell that Brock he's not going to be some Baker Mayfield ever. He may have some good football ahead of him. But with this offensive line, I mean, you want to talk about TJ Ferguson and what they were doing with the defensive tackles, trying to block those guys all night. It was an absolute nightmare. I don't know why. And I'd have to go break down the film and call some people and talk to them. I'm not an offensive line expert. But you've got 5 offensive line. Okay? They rush 4. That dictates somebody's got to get double teamed every time, unless they bring a blitzer. If they bring a blitzer, and that's your basic communication with these offensive linemen. Okay, if they bring 2 blitzers, oh shit, now we got 6 blitzers and 5 offensive linemen. We got to add a tight end, or we got to have a running back chip, or the quarterback has to be ready to throw it hot. Okay, the quarterback's not ready to throw it hot, neither one. So that's out. But rushing 4, let's just take blitzers away. Rushing 4. Okay, you've got this team that you're playing, and they did a pretty good job blocking most people. But far and away, the best player on the defensive line, the dude with the captain's patch, at least 3 times in this game, they hike, and they go double team the other tackle to a point where they leave the guy unblocked one time and leave a tight end to fill that gap. I don't even know how that happened. I think it's because they stunted or did something on the offensive line. But how is 99 or whatever his number was? The dude looked like J.J. Watt out there the whole game. How do you not have him circled, Alex Atkins, on the game plan? How is that not the guy you double every time? Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch it, but just tough stuff. Then you have a chance to block a field goal, but you want to get a look at it, so you call a timeout. But it was a terrible situation. They're up 2 touchdowns already, or up 13 points, 14 points, about to go up 2 touchdowns. Well within field goal range. It's not like it was going to be a long field goal. But in that particular situation, everybody knows what FSU is doing. Notre Dame's coach is sitting over there. Okay, FSU, we got to look. They want to block the punt. So they know they're sending out field goal block. I guess I'll have to go watch it. I can't remember if FSU actually came on the field. But the way I want to remember it, FSU sends their field goal block team, and then, Notre Dame, go offense. And now FSU is just completely scrambled. They had no contingency for what if they throw the offense out back out there. You got a dude trying to, lined up under the field goal post. You got 14 guys on the field, some trying to get off. They're thinking about switching to the defense, whatever. 4th and 10. And that was pretty much the end of the game right there. Tough stuff. Tough to watch, guys. The passing game was just, they just could not block them. And this is Notre Dame. We knew this was going to be tough. It was the worst possible matchup for Florida State, really. like Notre Dame isn't the best team in the country, but they might be the worst team to play Florida State with the quarterback they had, the running backs they have, and the defense they have. As you saw, I'm pretty sure this is the biggest margin we've had all year that we've lost by. I don't even know how many points they ended up scoring. It was like 38-3 when I finally cut it off and started getting set up. But yeah, it's to the point where it wouldn't surprise me to see some kind of change. I think regardless of what you think is going to help or what would be best going forward, yada, yada, I think this coaching staff, this administration needs to send some kind of signal to this fan base that they're ready to change, ready to, get this thing fixed because it's broken. Broken. Tramel Jones has already been crystal balled by Wiltfong or whatever they call it on 3 nowadays. Rumors of half the people that are committed decommitting already. Solomon Thomas doing hits on Instagram and stuff. And then you lose 52-3 on the road in a game where you came out in the first half and, you should have had every opportunity to be in that game. I know people are going to be hard on the defense, especially in that first half. They gave up 2 just blatant touchdown drives. Like Notre Dame just went down the field. But I'll have to go back and look. 4 or 5 3-and-outs our defense had in that first half. Miami scored on 7 of 8 drives, guys, and they didn't beat us this bad. We had 4 or 5 3-and-outs in the first half against Notre Dame. Think about that. Miami scored on like 90% of their drives. We stopped Notre Dame half the time for the first, 2.5 quarters, whatever. And then it was over. There was a complete give up. But yeah, just tough to see. The first quarter was a joy to watch. It's what I've been screaming for on this show the entire year. I couldn't understand it. I never understood why they wouldn't just lean on the best player on your offense, Lawrence Toafili, and give him a chance to run the ball. They did that early, had great success with it. Not great success in the term of college football, but in terms of this Florida State team, to put together 16 drives and get down the field and, continued some of that success. You still broke down, but they still want this. They still want to run all this stuff like it's 2023 with these 2 freshman quarterbacks and terrible O-line. And it's weird. They just won't, let me touch on this in the offseason and kind of the story you heard, kind of the story I spread with getting Roydell Williams. You had such a deep room of running backs, all these things, was that they were going to come into the season similar to how they were in 2022 and have a running identity, a run-first identity, really stick to the run game. And I think I sold you guys, and I was sold a bill of goods. I think Mike Norvell, unfortunately, similar to Jimbo Fisher and countless coaches before him, is stuck in his ways, and just the offense is what the offense is, because it's damning how they go away from the running game, even when it's successful. For example, okay, like, and people always want to do this when I talk about the running game and how come they won't keep handing it to Toafili. They want to say, "Oh God, we only average 3 yards per carry. 2 yards ain't going to get it done." This stuff. At one point in time, after that run, when they just totally went away from Toafili for whatever godforsaken reason for like a quarter, you were 1 for 8 passing. So you're telling me we can't afford to run the ball 4 yards per carry? Can't afford to run it on early downs. We got to pass it to keep them off balance. We can't afford to run it, but we can afford 9 damn passes and 1 completion. 1 for 8. Y'all want to talk to me about efficiency? Which is better, 1 for 8 or 8 runs for 4 yards? I mean, it's insane. I mean, Toafili is literally averaging 4 yards per carry. You just run it every time, and you go all the way down the field, and that's literally what he was doing. And then that's it. You quarterback run and pass on 3 drives in a row on first and second down. And every single time, you're either 2nd and 10, 3rd and 10, or 2nd and 17, 3rd and 25, to where you can't even try to run it on 3rd down. They had success tonight, even with Singleton running it on 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, and they still wouldn't run it on 1st and 2nd down. Why? Somebody in the chat tell me why. I'm over it. I'm gonna start looking at y'all's messages and talk about y'all stuff. But I feel like I don't get much response from anybody anybody I talk to. Nobody gets as upset about this as I do, and maybe it's just because I'm a couch quarterback. But it just seems insane to me that you wouldn't just lean on and try to build that identity with Lawrence Toafili. Yeah, it drives me nuts. I don't understand it. Yeah, Kevin Hickson. What the heck was up with rolling the quarterback to the right the whole game? It was like a Tecmo Bowl, like preset, the way Brock Glenn was rolling to the right and trying to get yards. And he had success with that early in the season. So I think they're just trying to replicate that success he had early. But it's the same angle, it's the same rollout every time, cutting the field in half. And Notre Dame was on it so hard all night long. Every time they show the replay, guys are triple covered. I mean, they're daring us to run it all night, and we just wouldn't freaking do it. They wouldn't do it. And sorry if I'm giving you a headache with how loud I'm getting, but I mean, it's just frustration, guys. Yeah, this is another observation. CHJ229. George, did you notice our guys hardly have any tomahawks on their helmet due to no positive plays this late in the season? Yeah, somebody posted a picture of Kevin Knowles' helmet, I think, and it had like 3 tomahawks on it. It's unlike anything I've ever seen until somebody pointed it out. I didn't notice it, but yeah, sure enough, the helmets are straight gold, no tomahawks. It's I can't even remember. Can anybody remember the last turnover we picked up? Special teams was a strength. It was one of the only kind of strengths. And I get Mike Norvell wants to keep us in these games. He was trying to genuinely cut it down, but you go for it so many times on 4th down and field goal range. It's ridiculous. You left 6 to 9 points on the field again tonight. Like, I think the toll it takes on the defense of getting nothing is not worth the risk. I think it would be better to just take some points, have a regular kickoff, and not just send your defense just right out there at the freaking, wherever you get turned it over, the 40, the 30, every single time. So there's that. And also just the fact that you have one of the best kickers in the game. You never use him. Did we even kick it? We kicked a 1 field goal when we and it kind of defeats logic that you go for it on 4th down at the 30 when you've got a guy who can kick it 45, 50 all day long, that you get down to the red zone and then like the 10-yard line, and then you take the points. Like, don't get me wrong. I was just saying take the points. But why do you not take the points well within field goal range when you could possibly give it up to them at half field, but then you don't go for it when you could you could run it and get a touchdown. So it's tough. Tough. Omar Graham, our guy, man, we've been talking him up. He had been doing pretty good the last couple weeks, but he got lit up. He got isolated on a lot of these plays. Touchdown to the tight end. It was played so horribly. I don't know if it was a miscommunication, but he was lined up. The tight end was lined up outside, and here's your linebacker like 3 yards inside of him, basically pushing him outside right where he wants to go. And there was no safety help. So he basically just said, here you go, touchdown. And then on several other plays, screens, or if he's watching the quarterback, he got caught inside and just, beat a lot of different times. Not going to hammer on him. It's tough. But if you found out that all of a sudden your linebackers coach is gone and Ernie Sims is going to step up as a what do you call it? Interim head coach or linebackers coach, I don't see like what the harm would do in that. As I said earlier, like the play of the wide receivers, the play of the linebackers, and the play of the offensive line, there is cause for termination. Cause for termination. 100%. And I don't know what keeping any of these guys around for 2-3 more weeks. I think we may have another bye week in here. I'm not mistaken. Somebody can tell me. I'm confused. I'm so dazed and confused from the season. But yeah, that was a crushing victory, 52-3. That's bad stuff, man. Folks are on Storm's case. I was on like kind of defending Storms because I've seen different guys' bodies in the time they've came here. Like, you can name the guys: defensive linebackers, wide receivers. Like, you can see the difference, and it was a stark difference from the end of Jimbo and in the Willie time. But right now, it don't look that way. So I don't. Is it strength and conditioning is the reason the wide receivers and the offensive line can't block or catch? Is it strength and conditioning why the defensive ends are getting blown off the ball? Like, Pat Payton had the same strength and conditioning guy the past 2 years when he was balling out there next to all the good defensive linemen. I don't know. Did maybe something go on in his personal life and he slipped and things changed? Did he go more cardio? Maybe so. Maybe that has something to do with the way they use their running back. Do they have some theorem or some idea of not wanting to spread out usage? So, okay, Toafili's had 4 touches. We got to pull him and put somebody else in. Because I've never in my life, never watched a football team that was incapable of going 2 minute with one running back or 4 minute with one running back. We change personnel more than anybody I've ever seen. I was so happy that first drive, y'all. I can't even tell you. And even it started in the second drive until they effed up. But I was just so happy. I was like, I can't believe it. They're just leaving 9 and they keep giving him opportunities over and over again. He had 10 carries on the first 2 drives, more carries than he had all last week, and then it just stopped. Just stopped. And again, nobody's yet to tell me why. But yeah. A lot of folks were disappointed when Norvell put Luke in only for 1 series and then pulled him. I get where you're coming from, but from what I've seen of him out there, I don't know how much better it is. And it's not Luke's fault. I'd almost just as soon as sit Luke and let him get his red shirt the next 2 games. That's something we talked a lot about here, depending on the season went, because they're putting Luke in a terrible position. One of his first or second drives when he gets out there, he drops back, and that's the play where Ferguson just turns the best player on Notre Dame's defense free to help the center, and he free rushes and bulldozes him. So what can Luke do on that? Luke is a quarterback. He's made plays. He showed he can make plays using his legs. But Mike Norvell won't call an offense where he uses his legs or hands it off to Toafili 2 times like that and then throws it. No, he wants to send him out there, and these freshman quarterbacks, he wants them to do 3, 5, and 7-step drops with an offensive line that just they can't even get in front of these damn guys in pass protection. They can't do it. Where do you go from here? These things are getting harder and harder to do, guys, obviously, because I've been saying it now for going on for over 2 months. There is no, I guess not over 2 months, month and a half. There is nothing there's no possible way this thing is going to change in a major, significant way until changes are made, until staff is fired, until players are run off and new players are brought in. So, yeah, it's rough. How many coaches do y'all think? Do you think do y'all think the staff will make any changes? Do you want them to make changes? If so, how many coaches do you think could possibly get let go before the end of the season? What do y'all think about that? Personally, I would like to see 2 guys get the axe tomorrow. Announce 2. I don't even care if it's off-season personnel. Something Do something to signal some kind of change. That's all. But yeah, fire the whole staff. I hear you guys. Mike Norvell, $65 million bailout, whatever. Yeah, that golden parachute is looking less and less daunting the farther this goes. Hoping to have a big booster on next week to kind of gauge the temperature of how those guys are feeling and what those kind of conversations are like. But yeah, tough. So again, we're right here at the FSU Voice of College Football. I think we're over 5,000 subscribers. Keep hitting that like and subscribe for us. Also, if you're watching over at the Renegade Report, hit the like and subscribe there as well. Sorry, this thing couldn't be more exciting for you guys. But yeah, it's where do we go from here if you're Florida State? I want to say nowhere but up, but no, we've got 2 weeks for this thing to get worse. Florida went down today. They got whooped, so there's a little bit of something there. Nowhere near as bad as we got whooped. Still likely to lose to Florida, but maybe not as bad as we were thinking. We'll see. I'm not sure how bad not AR. I'll keep on calling him AR, but he's probably better than him. Lagway. If they have Lagway back, it's going to be curtains. But if they have to play that third string quarterback, who knows? We may actually have a chance against Florida. We got to celebrate Miami losing to Georgia Tech for a few hours. That's one silver lining of today. Those Miami Hurricane fans that were trying to compare their team to 2013 FSU and more commonly the 2023 FSU team, as I've said over and over again, is absolutely absurd. Can you argue their offense is comparable, maybe a little bit better? I'll give you that argument, but the defense, there's just no comparison. That 23 defense was absolutely nasty, especially by the end of the season. Once they got comfortable and figured out what they were doing, I mean, you didn't have your quarterback, but that defense took an absolute next step level performance. We'll never know what could have been, obviously, but yeah, I think you can lay that to rest. In one of the worst years of ACC football history, you still lost. So yeah, whatever. I know we can't talk, but in this Big Three football thing, we're gonna at least take that as a Big Three football and college football in general is one of the only things in life where it's all right to revel in other people's misery. Any other kind of station in life, breakups, you lose family members, you get fired from your job, you get a bad score on a test. That's called bullying. It's frowned upon. It's not moral. Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, you wouldn't be happy about that. Or whoever your moral compass is, whatever your religion is, it's like, it's frowned upon, stuff like this. But, college football, it is what it is. Clay Fink put out a tweet being like, guys, as an FSU fan, I don't think we should be talking shit about Miami. That's 9-1 now. And we're like, dude, you're about to get flamed. I just liked it. I almost typed something. I was like, I'm not going to be mean. I know he's not like that. He's a student, Kentucky fan, stuff like that. These people that born and bred on FSU or Miami, and 3 generations of your mom and your dad, or maybe your uncle's actually a Miami fan. No, this stuff is different. It doesn't matter how good FSU, Miami, or Florida is. We're going to laugh at them at every given turn and poke fun. As evidenced by Miami the past 20 years, every year just being on us. Miami fans are on us every second. They went crazy when we got left out. We're pulling for us to get left out. I remember Florida at the beginning of the last year trying to say they had the top 5 defense in the nation because they had a soft schedule early on and they were going by total defense. And we see how that went out. But yeah, I can't talk because I said a lot of things about this season in the summer. So that's college football for you, man. You ride the highs and you ride the lows. And right now we are as low as it can get, man. I don't think there's any more of a rock bottom you could hit as a program right now. Let's see. Yeah, I'm agreeing with a lot of these comments. Struggling to find one to talk about. UM should be 8-2. They got gifted. Yeah, there's no doubt that at the very least, should be 8-2, but they have a chance they could be 8-3. If you want to call that Virginia Tech a catch, and then the next game, like all those crazy penalties that allowed them to come back from that big time deficit, it's weird. Kevin Hickson says, "I have a question, George. Where do you stand on Fuller after this game?" This might not be a popular opinion, and I kind of alluded to it earlier. Last couple games, I was really hard on Fuller because every third and long, we were on that stretch of 2 or 3 games where it was just ridiculous. 3rd and 27, 3rd and 17. It didn't matter. We were giving them up. And I didn't like how anytime it went past 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, we ran basically, and I didn't ever see the all 22 footage. You can just see what you see on TV, which is basically who's in the box. We'd have 5 guys in the box every time, and one of them was a QB spy. And sometimes that QB spy was actually a guy in man coverage, and he'd follow a running back or a tight end. So every third down, you'd rush 4. Miami would stick 6 or 7 guys in protection, and Cam Ward would sit down there for 30 minutes, and he'd find somebody open every single time. In the past, he's shown a great ability to adjust and do different things, but tends to fall on that 4-down lineman and bend but don't break. I hate that. What I saw from Adam Fuller in this particular game was less of that. I appreciated it. I kind of liked the game that Adam Fuller called in a lot of aspects. Outside of the linebackers, a few times getting caught in just absolute precarious situations. Like, for example, when their left tackle went out. He brought 33 down on a blitz, and they had 3 guys lined up on that left tackle immediately to back up when he got in there. And we got home and made some plays. So I saw some good things out there from Adam Fuller. I don't know how much it's Adam Fuller and how much it's, just not having the guys out there to execute. And also the other side of this, it's so hard to judge this defense given what the offense is. I saw James talking about this a lot on Twitter. Imagine as a defensive player, you're just out there for a 6-minute drive and you stop them. Yeah. Then your offense comes out there and, 30 seconds later, it's a 3 and out. Your defensive coaches are trying to have a conversation with you. Before they can even say anything, you're back on the field. Then you somehow manage a 3 and out. And okay, yeah, we're good now. Same thing. You're right back on the field. Then, bam, you get beat up. Terrible drive. They score a touchdown. Then your offense comes out. 3 and outs again. You give up another touchdown. And then your offense finally scores. But that's it. They don't score at all. But that never happened, actually. We never got that second score. So there's just only so much your defense can take. The one thing that sticks out is in a lot of leverage situations where the game is actually close and you need to be able to play defense, teams are scoring easy drives. You don't know how much Notre Dame is not taking chances because they're already up 14-3 or 17-3 or whatever it went to, 21-3, et cetera, et cetera. So that can affect it. But defensive ends, oh boy. Linebacker, oh boy. Definitely, we got to get somebody in there that can recruit the D-line. So whether it's Odell or Papuchis, they got to go. Shannon, he's got to go. So I was totally against Fuller. I didn't think Fuller would get fired at all. But look, it's up for debate now. Like if you said you wanted Fuller gone due to recruiting, I think that's where I would go on Fuller. Wouldn't be coaching so much as recruiting. And maybe I'll regret that in the future when next year he's back and still rushing 4 on every 3rd and long, and just making it obvious. Like I think rushing 4 on 3rd and long, I think when a lot of football people would say, "Oh, that's fine, that's normal, yada yada," and I get that. But when that's what you do every single time on tape, you show the same thing. That makes it really easy on an offensive coordinator to say, "Hey guys, they're going to rush 4 on this and drop 7. They may drop 6 and lead a spy, but it's like." And the other offensive lines can block, unlike ours. And especially when they bring help. If they bring a tight end and a running back, we're not getting pressure because it has to come from the interior. And when they've got help, it makes things tough. So, yeah. Guys, any subjects y'all want to bring up? I'm struggling to keep this thing going, keep it, and figure out what to talk about without just hammering on the same things over and over and over again. But yeah, that comment about Notre Dame preparing for Army or whoever the hell else, whoever it was, on their bye week instead of Florida State was boy, that was something else. I think we got our 27th and 28th drop in the game. My guy Toa Feely gets an opportunity on a wheel route there in garbage time and drops it. I think we may have had another drop early in the game. Injuries this year. I've seen a lot of people talking about